You can't watch the big game on an empty stomach. So, kick the tired traditional apps in the ass with these Gyro sliders, honey sriracha wings, and spicy crab dip. You can't go wrong with any of them, but I'd suggest all three. We'll get started with our Gyro sliders, for which I'm using 1 pound of ground lamb. We'll season that up with salt and pepper. And I will add that all the exact ingredients will be down below as well as on the website. We're going to add in about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, followed by some onion powder, and then some garlic powder. You could use fresh onion and garlic, but I think the powdered form really helps keep this from being too moist and falling apart. We'll add in a little bit of smoked paprika, a little bit of ground coriander, and a little bit of olive oil just to help mix all of those herbs and spices into the meat. So roll up your sleeves and get on in there and mix away. You want to make sure those spices are thoroughly distributed throughout your ground lamb. Once that's done, we want to form these into about 1 ounce sliders, so you should get about 15 to 16 out of your mixture here. Just form them into nice thin little patties, rinse and repeat. If you find that it's sticking to your hands, you can run a little cold water over them, and that'll help keep that lamb fat from sticking to all of your hands and fingers. Instead of frying these off, we're going to actually lay them out onto a baking sheet and bake them at 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes, or until they are just cooked through. Alright, with that being done, we need to make our tzatziki sauce. That's going to start with some non-fat Greek yogurt for that nice chunky thick texture. To this, we are going to grate in 2 fresh cloves of garlic for that nice bright garlic flavor, the zest of half of a lemon. We'll follow that up with the juice of about 1/3 of the lemon. We want about a tablespoon worth, and then about a tablespoon of very finely fresh chopped dill. You could use dry in a pinch, but fresh really adds a more bright flavor to this dip and sauce. And the key ingredient here is going to be about half of an English cucumber, which we are going to grate on a box grater, and then vigorously squeeze as much of the moisture out of it as we can in some paper towels or clean tea towel, and then add your cucumber pulp to your tzatziki sauce. Season that up with salt and pepper to taste, of course, and then stir it to combine. Now to serve this, I've got some warm pitas here, which I'm going to cut into quarters, and then make sure you can still open them up and get to that nice pita pocket on the inside. Just like that. And we're going to slice up some Roma tomatoes very thinly. You could also use some red onion or lettuce here, but I'm keeping it pretty simple today. So you'll grab one of your pita quarters, a nice generous heaped tablespoon of your tzatziki sauce, followed by a slice of tomato, and one of your Gyro patties. Fold it up. Optionally, you can use a toothpick to secure everything together. Rinse and repeat with your remaining Gyro sliders, and app 1 is done. Alright, next up we are going to turn to our chicken wings, starting off with about 2.5 to 3 pounds of chicken wingettes. We'll season these generously with salt and freshly cracked pepper. Then, for a little smoky element, since we're not going to actually be smoking these or grilling them, I am going to toss in about a teaspoon of smoked paprika, maybe a little more, and then to help get them nice and crispy and get that skin nice and dry in the oven, I'm adding in about a couple teaspoons of baking powder, and then we're going to very thoroughly mix all of that so that all of the wings are thoroughly coated in that baking powder. Rinse your hands up, and then put these onto a wire rack on a baking sheet, and bake them at 425 for 50 to 60 minutes, being sure to flip them at least once about halfway through. While we're waiting on them to cook, we'll make our honey sriracha sauce, which shockingly has sriracha, a couple tablespoons there, an equal part honey, and then for a little zip and to loosen it up, a couple teaspoons of rice wine vinegar. Apple cider vinegar or white vinegar would be just fine as well. Give those wings a flippity flip. This is a great recipe for wings, which we've made on the channel before, which helps them get nice and crispy in the oven. We're going to toss them in our honey sriracha sauce, which is going to destroy some of that crispiness, but the flavor is absolutely worth it. They are great on their own, by the way, or tossed in any other sauce of your choice. You want to toss them while they're warm so that the chicken skin will absorb that honey and that spicy sriracha, get nicely glazed. I'm serving these up in a nice large bowl, and don't leave any of that glaze behind. It is liquid gold, I tell ya. Garnish them with some tuxedo sesame seeds, and you know I gotta hit them with a few sliced green onions. Now, chicken wings are done. And I'm telling you, if those don't make you want to run out the door and grab some chicken and make this right now, I just don't know what will. But we've still got one app to contend with, and as all great things do, this one also starts with some green onions. We're going to slice up a couple green onions down to the whites, one serrano pepper, which I'm going to quarter and dice, and this part is optional if you don't want it to be too spicy. Honestly, the creamy sauce keeps it from being overpowering, but you can certainly leave it out if you are spice averse. We're going to add our green onions and serrano chili to an 8-ounce block of room temperature cream cheese, followed by a dash of garlic powder. Again, you could use fresh garlic, but I think garlic powder has a great flavor in this. A little smoked paprika, about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, a teaspoon or so of Dijon mustard for some extra kick and tang, and then about a quarter cup of sour cream and an equal part of full-fat mayo. We'll squeeze in about a third of a lemon. Again, that's about a tablespoon worth of juice. Season this up with some salt and fresh pepper, and then the key seasoning in any crab dip is Old Bay seasoning. I'm going to shake in about a teaspoon of that. And at this point, we need to stir everything to combine. You want to have this nice and thoroughly mixed before you add your crab, so you don't destroy the texture of your crab. Speaking of which, you could use all jumbo lump, but I actually like a mixture of lump and claw meat, which I have here. I'm going to very gingerly fold that into our cream cheese mixture here so that I don't break up those nice pieces of lump crab meat. And you could bake this in a dish and serve it with crackers and it would be just fine, but just fine is not what we're after. We are after divine, and for that, I'm going to use this nice ciabatta bread bowl here. It's got some cheese baked on top that I picked up at my local grocery store. Dig out all of that excess bread from the inside, but save it. Those are great dipping pieces. And once you've got the majority of the bread from the inside of your bread bowl scooped out, add in all of your crab dip. If you're getting too close to the top, you can save a little back, but mine fit just perfectly in there, almost like it was made for it. We're going to bake this at 375 for 30 to 40 minutes, or until it is warmed through and slightly browned on top. Make sure to throw those extra pieces of bread in the oven for the last few minutes. Those are great little toast points for dipping. You can also use crackers, carrots, cucumbers, whatever you want to dip into a nice warm bowl of cheesy, crabby goodness. I'm going to hit that with a few chives for garnish, and that is one appetizing and delightful bowl of dip. I want to thank you guys for sticking with me through this whole video. I am suffering from a sinus infection right now, so this narration has been a little bit of a chore, but I'll tell you what's not a chore is eating all of these delicious appetizers. Those wings are smoky and sweet, slightly spicy. These gyro bites are juicy. They've got a warm spice from all those herbs and spices we added into them. That tzatziki sauce is tangy and creamy. Speaking of creamy, this crab dip is divine. I love dunking large chunks of bread and shoveling it into my mouth, but if you want to make it healthy, or healthier, you could use a carrot. It's still only about 5,000 calories per tablespoon, but you know what? It's a big game. You gotta watch it, and you gotta enjoy it. I hope you'll make these apps and enjoy them as well. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the game, and go make something delicious.